Set them off. You always want to know what was happening. Now you just know. Hopefully it wasn't a shot. Well, that was the air too, that air too. All set? I'm going to mention that we're just watching the ceiling. Makes sense? No, that's not correct. We are live. Good morning and welcome to Surefire Saturdays. Here we are on another Saturday morning.
Yeah, a little bit of a colder Saturday morning than last. I don't know if you can catch it out of this window here, but we got snow.
Yeah, we got snow,
chillier.
and we've already had actually we have the best. I think we have the best farm in the world because we've already had a couple bucks walk through our backyard this morning.
We were getting ready this morning. We started walking. We looked. We're like,
oh, big buck, big buck, big buck. Now listen, we've got a great recipe for you today. We're always teaching wild to table recipes, and our wild today is going to be something from the garden. So we're going to use a buttercup squash, and we're going to make this beautiful quick bread. So if you've ever had banana bread, zucchini loaf, you know that lemon poppy seed loaf?
yeah. Mom makes a good one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So exactly the same principle. The difference is that in this case, we're going to use the roasted buttercup squash to make that puree, to make that beautiful flavor base. Now,
I'll be learning along with you guys today because I had no idea that. First of all, I thought pumpkin pie was just what they called it. I didn't know that you actually came from pumpkins.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna be learning with you.
Do me a favor, grab one of the butternut squash out of the fridge. Now, if you can't find a buttercup squash, one of the things I want to encourage you to do is check out with your local market, your local grocer, and try to find, if you can, what are called sugar pumpkins. So there's a number of different varieties. For example, one that I love is Cinderella. They're naturally sweet. They're perfect for roasting. Now, what I want to do, I want to go, Dakota, are we ready to go to the barbecue?
Yeah.
All right, okay. So first of all, Dakota, come over and say good morning. So as you well know, we've moved Surefires from Wednesday nights.
Yeah, to Saturdays because we just want to enjoy Saturdays with all of you fine folks.
Yes, that's right.
We want to take Saturdays back.
We're taking we're taking Saturdays back. If you joined us last week, you've already heard this, but I'll say it one more time. Saturday mornings when I was growing up was all about watching hunting and fishing shows. You get up early, no TiVo or recording time. You had to watch it when you could. So Saturday mornings was a time. It's a great time of the week. The week is in our six. It's behind us. You know, I say in our six, and that brings up something. In just a few minutes, we're going to observe a moment of silence. And when we do, we want to honor all of the veterans in Canada, actually in the whole Commonwealth, for Remembrance Day, and also in the United States for Veterans Day, right? So we'll get to that in just a minute, but just before we do, let's start with what we were up early this morning doing. We fired up the Coyote Grill, and what, you know, with the holidays coming up, actually, one thing we want to do too is say this. So this recipe, we're doing a sweet recipe this week because next week,
we're going to be doing a Thanksgiving dinner. And so we don't know how long we're going to go live for, maybe 2, maybe 3 hours, but we want to give you guys the tools to create the most magnificent Thanksgiving dinner. Whether you're using a butterball or a wild turkey preferred. But if you can, we're going to show you how to cook all the sides, the turkey, and maybe a couple desserts.
Definitely. And we're going to try and get my wife, Cynthia, who's a pastry chef, to get her butt in here. She's got a bourbon pecan pie that if she would teach you that, I'm telling you, you'll adopt it as your own. What we'll also do, too, I think we should do is we'll take our wild turkey and we'll take a farm turkey, And we'll show you the difference side by side. Side by side, it's undeniable. So next Saturday, I want you to get a big pot of coffee, want to get a pen and paper, and you want to come and you want to watch our Thanksgiving special. I've always wanted to have a Thanksgiving special, and now we're going to have it.
Well, it came because one of the Bowtech staff, who was it that texted you?
Yeah, actually, I got to check my notes. But yeah, one of the Bowtech staff, he's like, oh, man, listen, I have to cook. I've been tasked with turkey dinner, and you know, a lot of us, we're a little bit scared about turkey. Some of the common things are it's too dry.
People are always worried about drying it out.
Yeah, and for me, Sin, go ahead. We got a question.
Good morning from Kentucky, from Kenny.
Good morning, Kentucky.
Fried up.
Yeah, fried turkey. That's a good idea. Fried turkey is good. My friend from Kentucky, if you're anywhere near Cubbage, my great-grandmother was from Cubbage, Kentucky. So let's have a look at those squash. So we were up early, and we'll show you this in just a little bit. So you can take any squash. So it could be butternut, could be buttercup, could be a pumpkin. Again, if it's going to be a pumpkin, it's got to be one of those sugar varieties, Bay. So those are naturally sweet. They're meant to be roasted. If you try to use a pumpkin like you might have used maybe for a jack-o'-lantern, you're not going to have very good quick bread. So the quick bread, the nice thing about a quick bread is that you don't have to wait for the yeast to rise.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we're doing breads, what you have to do is, you allow the yeast to rise, and for about an hour, you let that dough rise and punch it down, let it rise again. Quick bread uses baking powder, bicarbonate of soda. So what that does is it creates, there you go right there. That's so beautiful. So we made these this morning. By the way, the Outdoor Chef, whenever we're doing these recipes, we've got, so this was the first one we did this morning. And what I did with this is I used white sugar. And I started thinking, you have all that kind of caramely flavor. You've got that roasted flavor. Why not use brown sugar? Brown sugar, by the way, has molasses. It has a lot of unique flavor levels. So when you use brown sugar, it's very powerful. And in this case, I think you're really going to like it. You ready to go to the barbecue? Okay, let's have a quick look. Now, you'll see we rolled the barbecue up close to the deck here because it is freezing out there this morning. Actually, if you can look out just past it, can we see that corner down there? So that corner down there, you see that big poplar tree? That's where we have one of our tree stands, and it's because we've got a game trail at the corner of the property to the left, and they just come through here. I like to call it, it's like the whitetail 401 or the whitetail 75. It is a highway. They're just coming right here. We had no idea. So I fired up. One of the things about Thanksgiving, and we'll start talking about that right now, is you need additional cooking space. So when your oven is burdened, our friend from Kentucky said fry it up, right? So if you've got a deep fryer, on point, loving the deep frying. But if you need to bake or roast, the barbecue is that great extra hand, and you get the same kind of convection motion in a barbecue that you do in a regular oven.
And you can use it any time of year. A lot of people don't like to use it in the winter, but as you can see, we got snow on our barbecue this morning.
So these have just cooled off nicely now. You can see that see how the sides are pliable. You know that they're done. Hold that for a second right there, Bay. I'm just going to grab a fork. And this is why you got a close-up there. This is what you really want to do. You want to make sure, doesn't that smell good? You want to make sure, sure enough, we've got all that. Just poke it. And what you want to do, don't poke, this is obviously thinner, so this is going to be done. What you want to do is poke it in that thickest part, and if that passes through nice and smoothly, you know that that's ready to go. So let's start by harvesting this. Let's go over to the food processor. And Bay, I'm going to put you on this right now. So what I've got now, if you don't have a food processor, you can just set that, right there. Grab yourself a spoon. If you don't have a food processor, what you can do is you can use either a blender or you can mash it by hand. The difference between this and, say, for example, a ripe banana is that there's some fiber in here, so we want to cut that up. So what I've done is I've got my Cuisinart food processor, and it's fitted with the large blade. So what I want to do is I want to cut through all of. As I said, you can use a blender or you can use a stand mixer. You're going to try it?
Oh, Oh, it's good.
It's good, eh? Yeah. So it has a kind of flavor profile that allows you to use it with sweet. So all we're going to do here.
You can really see here as you try it just raw the way it is. A brown sugar caramelized on top or sugar would be amazing. It's already kind of sweet. It's really different from this squash, so it's really good.
So literally, you see that beautiful, and this is what gets me excited. Now listen, that backyard that you saw back there, next season, if you're watching The Outdoor Chef, about next August and September, we're going to be lining these out in hundreds and hundreds of other vegetables. We are doing wild to table, but we're actually growing as well. Exactly, grow to table, farm to table. So what you'll do, you see this beautiful flesh. You want to make sure as you harvest this, you want to get every last bit of it. So I'm going to put Bailey on that. You can start working away. Yep. It's always good to have a second hand in the kitchen. Just take your time, and you don't really want any of the outside flesh, but that little bit of skin that develops just on the surface, that's just fine. And get myself some more coffee here.
Yeah, and for like Dad said, next week for that Thanksgiving special, get yourself a cup of coffee. Use this recipe like this. That bread with a cup of coffee, it would be delicious.
Okay, so this is what I have to tell you. So we're doing 2 recipes today, but with the same bread. So we've got this beautiful quick bread. So the reason I always do 2 of these at a time is when I'm doing the second recipe, which is a bread pudding. That's right, a bread pudding. So you can use a conventional loaf with creme anglaise, which I'm going to show you to make today, which is just a custard cream, but you can also use this quick bread. And let me tell you, when this caramelizes up with that beautiful custard in it, this is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorites. We served it in restaurants years ago this time of year. It's a great way to acknowledge what's going on. You know, when you've got stuff like this coming out of the fields, why wouldn't you put it in a dessert?
You always try to cook with what's fresh in the grocery store, what's fresh from your field too.
Yep. So if you just get the majority of it off and then start on the other one, I'm going to show you how to do this prep. So when you get a squash like this, so again, this is a buttercup squash. Cindy was kind enough to find these. Cindy's my wife. She was kind enough to track these down for me last night. What you want to do is make sure that you're holding it firm. You want to make sure that it doesn't roll around too much on you. I'll show you a little trick. One of the things you can do is you can just take and nick off a little piece on the bottom, and that'll kind of help you hold it still. See that? Doesn't that make it easy? And then make sure your knife is good and sharp. And then pick a center point, kind of tap that down a little bit, and then just run your knife through it. And as you do, you'll reveal, oh, look at that. Now listen, doesn't that just make you love fall? For me, when I see those colors, it just screams fall. What I'm going to do, I'll tell you what, I am going to hang on to those seeds. I was just thinking about it. I didn't do it this morning. But these are the pumpkin seeds that you want to roast. So all you do is just pick them out of here and then just lightly oil them and roast them at about 350 degrees until they're nice and toasty. I always use some spices to just give them a little dance, just dance up that flavor a little bit. So you can see this. I'm just going to take that extra little bit of flesh off there. Just make sure I get all of that. Love the smell of these. Even raw, these are absolutely beautiful.
I just took the last bit of the spoon there. It's so good.
It's good, eh? So just take those seeds out. This is going to be the same whether it's squash or pumpkin. And we'll just keep harvesting these out. So these pumpkin seeds, these are going to be just beautiful. Pull that out. Man, it smells so good. So if you're just joining us, we're just going to take, as soon as I'm done this, we're going to take a minute, and I know we can't observe at 11 this morning because of the time of our broadcast, but we want to take a minute, and I just want to acknowledge a few people. First of all, in my family, my cousin for his service in our military. Let's face it, folks, without the brave men and women in our military, in our long histories of our countries, we could not enjoy the freedom that we so sometimes casually maybe take for granted. So that's why it's so important to take a moment. You know, and today is a good day to maybe reach out to a person, maybe a neighbor, a family member. So I personally want to thank my cousin Stephen for his current service. I'm thinking about my wife's Uncle Bernie, who served in Vietnam. And my wife's grandfather served in the Korean War and I believe World War II as well, eh, hun? So there's a lot of people that we really, really...
I've got a friend I talked to not too long ago who just joined the military. I'd like to thank him as well. His name's Elliot. He's a great guy. He's doing a good thing there.
And Dakota, you've got a good friend from high school.
One of my friends from high school, Taylor Brockenier, she's become an Air Force pilot here in the Canadian Royal Air Force. So, I mean, I'd like to thank her for her service as well. I know I see her journey that she had to take to become part of the Air Force, and let me tell you, just the journey alone to just do what they do is just hard enough to begin with.
Yeah, so having said all of that and shared that, we're just going to take a moment of silence now. So if you could join with us, and we'll just take a moment of silence here. Thank you for that, and again, thank you to all of you who are watching for your years of service and dedication. It does not go unnoticed. Now, let us see if we can dress that up a little bit with some beautiful sweet bread. So now, just to re-engage here, we've got this cleaned up now. It's really simple. I'm just going to take, so you can see Bailey's got this completely cleaned off. Take it, and you could potentially, if you got a really kind of new squash, you can even eat the flesh. But what I want here is a nice, consistent color.
You can eat the flesh, eh?
You can, yeah. It's actually, but again, it depends on the age. So what happens is, as they're stored, if they're new out of the field, just like potatoes, for example, if they're new out of the field, the skins are quite nice, and actually there's a ton of flavor. But as they get a little older, so these are actually pretty new, so you can see the flesh is actually pretty thin. So just sit that down on there, and then I'll take and put these seeds up there. I always just take the knife, careful with the knife as always, but I'm just going to take that little bit off the side there so it sits flat. So we'll sit that flat. Babe, brush that with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And all that olive oil will do, you might think, well, why are you putting olive oil in something sweet? There's some, here you go, bud. Well, the thing about olive oil, if you think about it, the fruit, the olive, it actually has some really great properties as it comes to, so you can actually use olive oil kind of in place of vegetable oil. You'd be surprised, even with things like muffins and baking, what olive oil will do. It's beautifully flavored. So that can go back in the barbecue bay. I'll get you to put that in the barbecue. So we're going to set that barbecue for about 325 degrees. It's not something I want to rush. I want this to be low and slow, and I really want it to be finished. So let's have a quick look. Just make sure to pop it in. Actually, we don't need to have a look at that. So you can see here with what Bay's harvested that yeah, it's cold out there, isn't it? So all I'm going to do with this, I've got a little bit of this melted butter here. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that in. Just set that over there. Just mix that up a little bit. And then it's really important, again, if you don't have a food processor, maybe take the time, use a blender, but a food processor is going to make short work of this. Let's have a quick look here, and we'll see just how quickly this comes together. So as this starts to come together, you can see that just gorgeous color. But one of the important things at this point, like many things we talk about, is you don't want to rush this point. So this is a point where the texture is now as important as the flavor. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I happen to stop early, This is, oh my gosh, it smells. Are you looking at the color of that? Just look at that. That's amazing, that color. It's so bright and so vibrant, but one of the things you'll notice in there is there's still some fibers. So I want to make sure that that texture is completely cut down. So what I'll do is I'll continue to process that until it's silky smooth. Oh man.
You can just watch that texture come together. Right?
Oh yeah. So what? Yes. Hungary. Well, welcome Hungary. We love our European roots. Part of my family came from Holland. We've got good friends from Hungary as well.
Yep.
So welcome Hungary. You're hungry and hungry.
Yeah.
There's a hashtag
it's so
for
cool.
you.
We had someone from Sweden last week, so
Yeah.
obviously, you know, there's a lot of fellow hunters and anglers across the entire world.
Yeah, do me a favor and throw in the comments there. Let us know where you're watching from right now. And we'd love to give you a shout out.
Yeah.
Throw your name in there and where you're from when you have a minute. By the way, if you have any questions, the most important thing about the Outdoor Chef and Surefire Saturdays is about making and creating a forum for you to ask questions. So ask anything, even if it's not related to this recipe, ask it now.
And I'm curious as to what you hunt or angle in Hungary.
Yeah, let us know what you're after in Hungary. Okay, here we go. So let's have a look inside here. Oh my gosh. See,
You gotta show them that.
you gotta see this. Just like that's, come on. That's like butter. That's like butter. I love it. So, you know, you don't have to, and this is not a knock on canned pumpkin products in any way. You know, one of the things about food, there's no room for food snobbery here at the Outdoor Chef. You use whatever you want to use. But if you have a simple barbecue, you can just literally slice that in half, put it on your barbecue, more or less forget about it for about an hour. It takes about an hour. Make sure it's about 325, and you're going to get this beautiful texture. Let's have a look at that one more time. I'm just going to, you can stay there, babe, because I'm just literally going to, oh my gosh, look at that.
Look how it just sticks to that spoon steak.
Isn't that spectacular? Look at that.
That's awesome.
I love it. Okay, so let's start with our, tastes good too. Let's start with our recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the principles of baking. Now, when you're baking, you've always got wet ingredients and dry ingredients. And there's always a lot of questions about this in particular.
Yeah, so if you don't mix your wet and dry ingredients separately, what happens is you end up, I'm sure you've seen it, a loaf of bread that you cook is like 4 inches higher on this side as this side. That's because you have pockets of baking powder or baking soda. So that means you didn't mix your dry ingredients well enough so that you ended up with a pocket of that ingredient. So
Absolutely.
That's why you need to mix them separately. And so what happens is that if you mix your liquid in, what you're going to get is not a proper, even mixture of the dry ingredients to begin with. Same to go with the wet ingredients too.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do, this is a great recipe, so if you're taking notes, this is the time to take it. So you can use this as a base for just about any of these quick breads. So we've got all-purpose flour. Get unbleached if you can. It's healthier for you. So unbleached AP flour. And we're going to do 3 cups. This is funny. This technique, I remember when I was a kid, they had a class called home ec.
Oh, what's that?
Home economics.
Oh.
Yeah. So I can tell you right now that my home economics teacher, and if she's out there, I love you because you inspired me. But
what was her name?
I can't remember. I can't remember. But you know what? Well, I'll make sure to get. You got to text Rob. Rob will probably remember. Yes, Cindy.
We have a shout out from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax, represent. Yes, thank you, Halifax.
Dylan Wade is stationed in Pensacola, Florida.
Stationed in Pensacola. Thank you for your service, sir. We appreciate it. Is his name, sorry? Dylan Wade. Dylan Wade, thank you for your service, sir. So, Dylan, funny story about...
I wonder if he can cook this kind of food at his base.
Yeah, I'm sure he can. So, home economics, I'm sure my teacher, she was sure that I was never going to amount to anything. So she taught me how to do 2 things: clean tables, and I remember this distinctly, using the backside of a knife to make sure you get your dry ingredients. Now, my wife...
You have a knife in school?
Exactly. My wife, who's a pastry chef, she will... I always try to be a little bit, let's just say... freewheeling with ingredients, and she always reminds me that when it comes to ingredients and pastry, you absolutely have to measure with precision.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So one of the great things that happened again this morning, so we had that loaf, grab that one, and so what we were doing as we were testing these, we wanted to, so this we did with white, and you can see here actually we increased the amount of baking powder from this one to this one. I wanted more volume, so you can see how beautiful that is. So we increase this. This is the exciting thing about the Outdoor Chef and Surefire Saturdays, is we're throwing recipes out there that we are testing in real time. So anyway, I'm going to keep going here. If you can just spoon, I need a full cup of that.
Okay.
And then I've got here a tablespoon of baking powder.
I keep feeling my phone vibrate. I think Bowtech's still doing more live hunts.
Is that right? Well, good luck to the Bowtech guys. I know they're out there. I saw some beautiful muleys this morning.
Yeah, they're out there chasing muleys out in South Dakota. Be sure to check that out, guys. You don't want to miss a live hunt with them.
Yeah. So here's 1 tablespoon going in, and that's of baking powder. And then we get to the spicy stuff, and I love this. And so I want to work on, and you'll see my notes here, so just so you know that we're making this up as we go along. I've got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I love cinnamon, especially with this. Like Bailey pointed out, the cinnamon with, it's a real common thing to take brown sugar and cinnamon.
So you were explaining to me earlier why you switched to brown sugar, right?
Yeah, so the brown sugar is, you still have the sweetness, but what you get with brown sugar is you get an element of flavor. Molasses, and of course, just in case, I'm sure everybody knows what molasses is. But honestly, we never take anything for granted here at the Outdoor Chef. So if you don't know what it is or you haven't seen it, now molasses are, you're using sugar beets. I love molasses. Oh man, it tastes so good. But molasses, if you take and just take sugar, and then you go like molasses, and you just taste it. Like literally, you just take it and you just taste it. You're like, compared to just. Has a ton of flavor.
That's so much flavor.
It's caramelized. Oh, Bailey's coming around. Okay. So using the brown sugar, you've got some really nice additional notes of flavor going there.
Well, and that's what we talk about consistently is when you want to when you want to create great dishes, it's just about adding levels of flavor and taking your time and giving it love. So if you can add something, switch something as simple as switch brown sugar for white sugar, that is a step that is crucial to elevating your dish. Yeah,
now good point. Thank you for reminding me. If you use this recipe and you're going to switch it, let's say, to lemon loaf or banana loaf, switch back to the white sugar. It'd be a little too powerful. What I have here is some salt, so I just need a pinch of salt. Always using some salt when baking. Salt, of course, the same way it brings out flavor in a steak, it's going to bring out flavor in this bread as well. So I put in, now I'm going to do these spices. So what makes this a spiced pumpkin bread pudding, that's what we called it. Bread pudding's coming up, but we're just doing, the reason I always do a couple loaves is, generally speaking, the first loaf gets eaten, and so then the second loaf is the one that we use to make the bread pudding. So this is a 2 teaspoon measure, putting the 2 teaspoons in. And then that's of cinnamon. And then I love allspice.
Oh, allspice around the holidays, man.
Yeah.
That's just something else.
Yeah, it's a must. You can see the difference in color down here. Yes, Cindy, go ahead.
Anthony asked, will the final recipe be posted to the page?
Yes, thank you, Anthony. Yes, the final recipe will be posted to the page along with the hero photos, so the finished photos. And then what I have here is ginger. So ginger is something that's very unique because it gives a little bit of heat.
Yeah.
So it's almost like adding like an element of pepper. So this is ginger here. Now all these are ground.
It's like a sweet heat, right?
It is a sweet heat. It's very pleasant. And you know what? When you think about flavors like gingerbread and that sort of thing, it's actually just perfect. So have a quick look in there. So we got flour, sugar, baking powder, salt. We've got cinnamon, allspice, and ginger. Now I would just want to say a quick thank you to Nana because it's actually. This is an adaptation. If you watch previous broadcasts, sometimes you'll see Nana brings these giant boards of banana bread. So this recipe is an adaptation of Nana's banana bread, which we'll be doing, I'm sure, one of these shows. So, Code, can we get a look inside this? So what I want to do is, I'm using this whisk. So I'm going to use two different attachments here. I'm going to start with the balloon whisk. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to imagine this is going to like sift these ingredients together. So I'm going to turn this on, starting off slow, and just bring it up to speed. And that's going to bring all of that. It's going to incorporate my baking powder, the salt, all of these incredible flavors. It's going to bring it right together. Let me tip it a little bit there, son.
Yeah. There you go. You can see that now.
So it's bringing that together nicely. And it'll break down. If there's any lumps or chunks in there, it'll make sure it's nice and clean. One of the things I get asked about a lot, you'll see sifted flour. Now, if you have time to sift your flour, that's great. Sifting is a great way to incorporate dry ingredients as well. But one of the main reasons that sifting was done was back when the quality of flour was maybe a little questionable. There'd be like little stones, maybe unmilled flour, unmilled wheat.
Yep.
So that's why you have to sift. It's not 100% necessary, and it's just one of those time things.
Okay.
You don't have to do it. So that is basically that's come together. Now all those dry ingredients are incorporated, and I'm going to switch from the balloon whisk to a paddle. Now if you're just joining us, I want to let you know, we always do wild to table recipes, but we've had so many requests to do sweet recipes. We thought today, let's take something. Let's take a harvest squash. Let's make a quick bread. Look at this beautiful quick bread we whipped up this morning. Loving it. And then let's give two recipes. So you can do something that you could maybe just have with coffee with this quick bread. But we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into banana bread.
Which I can't wait for.
Yes. So the next thing, Bailey, we can go, I'll talk you through this a little bit. So we can go with some liquids in there. Now we have this butter, so we need about half of this. So this is just melted butter. It's not looking too attractive right now, but it's melted butter. You'll notice melted butter has 3 different levels, so I'm just going to put that in. We're going to put about a half cup in there.
Okay.
That's good. 3 eggs can go in. And I'm just going to warm up my coffee here. Yep, 3 eggs in. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of lemon in. I'm just going to give that lemon a roll first, and then slice. And, oh man, it smells so good. Just a little squeeze of lemon, making sure no seeds go in. I just put my hand underneath it there. So with the lemon juice, you just have all these elements of cuisine. So you have a little bit of acid with the salt, you have a little bit of seasoning, and the lemon acts a little bit the way that vanilla acts. And I'm going to add just a little spot of vanilla here.
Oh, it smells so good.
So a little bit of, that would be about a teaspoon of vanilla. Got to add that to the recipe. Now, what are we? So we've got lemon, salt, butter, baking powder. So now the big thing, and this is the exciting thing. This is what we've worked so hard on this morning. This is this beautiful pumpkin mixture. So I can put in, look at this. Like, come on.
I love the way this is coming together this morning. We're kind of adding things to the recipes, having a look around. It's kind of real, like on the fly. It's going awesome. And at the same time, I'm watching the beer. Yeah, watching the beer always.
Okay, so there's that beautiful pumpkin puree, or in this case, a squash puree. Could be either. Very similar flavors. And we'll just take and we'll put that in.
The consistency of that is awesome.
Right? It's just like, it reminds you of what like a banana puree would be like. So it's very similar in that regard.
It looks like that would, honestly, just a side note, that would be like great for like baby food.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like baby food.
Baby food, I mean, you want to talk about nutrition. This is just awesome. So now all of our wet ingredients are now in, and we're just going to start again, little slow.
That's it, eh? It's just one cup.
Yeah. Now this is not going to be, this is going to be very, it won't be very liquid, so it's going to be very pasty.
Yeah. But you get a lot of yield from just that one pumpkin.
Yeah, so from just that one squash, this is buttercup squash, from just that one squash, we can do 2 full breads.
Wow.
So that's coming together nicely. When it comes together, what we're going to do now, do you want to do this in the cast iron, or do you want to do, we can do it in a, let's do it, you know, most of you at home will have this. I got to tell you, this pan is made by Lodge. So Lodge Cast Iron makes these gorgeous loaf pans. And what I'm going to do now, if you're looking for a loaf pan, one of the things I have to recommend, so this is actually a Cuisinart loaf pan. What they've done is they make this a heavy bottom pan. So one of the problems with a really thin baking pan is they kind of have hot spots, and they don't radiate the heat very well. I love this. So that's just about done. What I've got is I've just got some cooking spray. Now you can use butter and just butter and flour this, but I think most people at home are going to use cooking spray. Nothing wrong with using cooking spray. You're just taking and you've got an aerosol of the fat. If you have a chance, you know, one cooking spray I love to use is this. They've got coconut cooking spray.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
So I'm just going to turn this up high for a second. And that's done. So you can see the consistency there. Just need that spatula. Get all that off first. So with all of that off, we don't want to waste any of this. We want that all in the pan. And you can smell the spice.
Yep.
It's very mild. It's not too intense.
You can really smell the allspice.
Yeah, the allspice is
very powerful.
and you have to be careful with allspice. Allspice is an extremely potent spice. Most of the spices we have, almost all of them, we really work to grind them from fresh. So these are all ground from fresh. So literally going to put this in.
I feel like a little kid. I want to lick the bowl and spoon.
Right?
It looks so good.
Now you can see the color that the brown sugar made that batter. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So this is pretty exciting. So as like a coffee cake or as a finished cake, this is quite nice, as you can see. Sliced into fingers or just sliced into slices. But what this will do as a bread pudding is be completely transformed.
I don't get how that turns into that.
So literally all you do is just press it down and find all the edges. Just try and smooth it out a little bit so that the top is, if you're going to serve it, if you're not going to cut it up like we are for the banana bread, you just want to smooth it out a little bit.
And what do you put this in the oven?
So this is going to go, we're actually going to do this on the barbecue. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll put this in at 350. But actually, you know what, for today, let's put it in. We'll do this at 325 convection. And one of the most important things, which I didn't do, but I'm doing now, is make sure to preheat your oven. So I'm just going to set this aside, and that oven, when it's ready, it'll let me know it's ready to go. And
you know what I'm thinking?
What's that?
What's going to be a really cool thing I want to do is we make this great gingerbread recipe.
Yep.
I'm thinking as we get closer to Christmas here, we should make a gingerbread and maybe some royal icing. We try to make these masterpiece gingerbread houses every year as big and as cool as we can get them. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think it'd be very cool.
A lot of people don't know how to make gingerbread.
If you can, Bay, I need that bowl, so if you can clean that up. Now listen, so that's the basis for our bread. Now I'm going to teach you the basis for some of your most favorite things. So, for example, ice cream.
Yep.
Crème anglaise. It's the custard cream base.
So good.
It's so delicious.
It's one of those things you go into a restaurant and you're like, it's like those lava cakes, right? Like that's not crème anglaise. When you break it open, and it just spills all over.
No, but one of the things that you do have from crème anglaise is crème brulee.
Oh yeah.
Crème reverse caramel. So all of these kind of really posh, really kind of exciting desserts, they have their roots in a very, very humble, very simple recipe. You grab me that pan. So the very first thing that you want to do is you have to bring the cream and milk up to temperature.
Yeah, what kind of cream are you using?
So I'm using a combination of milk, so that's 2% milk, and I'm using whipping cream as well. And you can make crème anglaise or English custard cream with just milk. But I like it to be more rich, and specifically my wife likes it to be more rich, so this is actually her recipe. So this makes the best crème brulee, the best crème anglaise, and for this purpose, it is on point. So I've got 1 full liter of cream. That's 4 cups of cream.
If there are any desserts that you find folks want us to do, just let us know in the comments. We know we get a lot of people suggesting that they want us to do desserts. If there's a specific dessert that you want us to do, let us know. You know, there are probably 100,000 desserts out there. So you know, if there's one that you can't quite get right, or you have no idea how to do, or there's these techniques you don't quite understand, put it in the comments and we'll do it. Or
absolutely.
what you want us to try, because we love seeing your guys' recipes too.
Yeah, definitely. So this is 2 cups of milk. So we've got 4 cups of cream, 2 cups of milk, and then I've got, again, that's that pure bourbon vanilla. And in this case, I'm going to add just a bit more, about a tablespoon. I want that really rich vanilla flavor to come through. If you have the luxury of a vanilla bean, this is the time to use a vanilla bean. If you're going to infuse it, so as we heat this up, what's going to happen is that milk and cream are going to become infused with that vanilla flavor. So if you have a vanilla bean, take it and split it down the center, take out the seeds using the back of the knife, and put the bean and the seeds and everything in the milk. And as it heats up, it's going to get all that flavor all through this liquid.
I remember the first time I did that, putting in the vanilla bean and using it, how potent the bean was, right?
Oh, well, it's exceptional. There's really nothing like it. So I've got this set over here. We're just going to turn this on. So I've got, I want to make sure, I don't want to bring this to boil. All I want to do right now is just raise the temperature. So I'm going to put it on 4. I've got an induction burner here. We like using induction sometimes, especially for this application. If you've never used induction before and have any questions, by all means, put them in the comments below. Basically, induction works so good because it allows you to get instant heat, but it's extremely safe. So if you have young kids, you got to make, induction works great.
How long will that take?
So this won't really take that long to heat up. We just want this to come up to a temperature so that we can temper the egg yolks. And that's going to be our next task. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit.
Induction is so cool because the technology is fairly new, and what it does is that they always tell you need a special pot or something to use, but all you need is iron in the pot. So in some way or form, there needs to be iron in it. And what it does is it activates those iron molecules, and it starts making them jump around and hit each other and creates heat, basically. And that's how induction works. I don't know how exactly they do that.
It's magnetic, It's literally magnetic.
There you go. Really?
So, yeah, it is. So what Bailey's going to do is he's going to separate a dozen eggs. So there's a dozen eggs in this recipe. And
the tricky part.
This is the tricky part. Okay, well, we'll see how tricky it is. Okay, so what you want to do, something that, here, let's put this here. So we'll put, let's put the egg yolks here. So if you just literally take and then split the egg in half, and then just kind of, I like doing, there you go.
I messed it up.
Okay, so don't put it in there. Like, do you have what do you have in there? Is that a yolk? No. Okay.
That was the trash?
No, we need the yolks, dude.
Oh, I thought you wanted the egg.
Okay.
You're fine.
Catastrophe. Okay, no, that's good. So keep going. Now, one of the things, this is not wasteful because, now I'll show you, if you do have a problem, so let's just say, so Bailey, the egg split on him here, you can just put, oh, no, we can't. We're going to have trouble with this one too. Okay, so we're going to put this in. So this doesn't become a waste problem. One of the things that you can do with this, and we'll be doing it this morning, is all of these egg yolks, they can just be reserved for an omelet.
I haven't mastered the craft of cracking an egg on a flat surface. I got to do the edge thing.
So we're putting and separating the egg yolks. You need a dozen egg yolks. And the thing about the egg yolk is that it's just super, super rich. There you go. Now, once again, you can do this. And Sen, do you think I should make them whisk this by hand or use the machine? I don't know. We might be a long time. So,
how did you do it in the 50s?
In the 50s? I don't know. They had mixers in the 50s. So using the balloon whisk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about a half a cup of white sugar into the mixer. And that sugar, the reason I'm putting this is one of the beautiful things about crème anglaise is it's just a couple simple ingredients. With the white sugar into the bottom, important to make sure that you're using a really clean cookware. How are we doing there, buddy? Good, you're making it right through. So, you know, it's difficult to make a good recipe without breaking a few eggs, right? To make a good omelet, you got to break a few eggs.
That's why I did that, so you could say that.
Yeah, okay, good. So what we're going to do is a technique that the French refer to as blanchir. So what we're literally doing is, and this is a really important step when you're making crème anglaise, because of the fact that it adds volume, it changes the texture, and literally begins to prepare the sugar and the egg yolks to be cooked. So we're almost done there, a couple left. Now I'm going to pop this in the oven. We've just reached 325. And that quick bread, we're going to have that on for an hour. So if you're just joining us, we're working on a spiced pumpkin quick bread. And then we're going to turn that quick bread into a bread pudding. I'll let you, Code, if you want to slip in here and chat. Or actually, one of the things, I need this egg yolk, so I'm going to pull that out. There's a perfect example of what you can do. You can actually hold the egg yolk pretty effectively. So Bailey had dropped one in here. So if you just literally reach in, and they will stay, yeah, you can literally pick it up. It's also a good way to separate it if you want. So that needs to go, now because we've opened that can go directly in the fridge bay. Make sure to refrigerate the eggs as soon as they're opened up. Yep. And let's just clean this up. And so what we've got there is we've got a dozen yolks. So this is something, Babe, if you want to get on the camera there, this is something we really want to show everybody. So as you start to mix, and we're just going to wait for Babe to get on the camera. Okay. So in goes the egg yolks, and I will, as soon as I start this up, So egg yolks in, and let's just turn this on. I want you to see what this kind of starts looking like. And as I turn it up, and I'm going to start whisking that, and basically I'll know when that's done when the color is more blonde than it is yellow. And also I'll show you the texture. I'll use the whip, the wire whip, and I'll pick that up and you'll be able to see the texture of what we're looking at here. Now how's our cream mixture coming along here? It's heating up nicely.
Should we talk to them a little bit about what we're actually thinking about, which is whitetail?
Whitetail? You guys, listen, you and Bay talk whitetail.
Okay.
I'm going to run out. I got to grab a dish, or I guess we'll use this dish, eh? No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, so whitetail for us. Yeah, you shoot.
So it's been a long week because we've been on hold for whitetail because it's been gun season here. So in
muzzleloader.
Yeah, muzzleloader season. Yep. So here in Ontario, where we are, you're not allowed to use a bow during muzzleloader season, so they get a week to go out and enjoy their muzzleloader season. So we've been on hold for a week, basically. We've been
it's
sitting
interesting
here watching bucks run by
and hearing blasts in the distance. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. You know, at first I thought, well, you know, because I know in a lot of places in the U.S. you can use the lesser weapon.
Yeah, you can use a lesser weapon,
but one nice thing about separating them the way that we do here is it does give the muzzleloader people, folks, the opportunity to hunt completely unencumbered by bow hunters.
Well, and the fun thing now that we've been just sitting here basically watching the deer from our back porch is that you get to enjoy watching the deer. As we know, the rut is kicking up.
Yeah.
I watched two does out here the other day, and they're doing all their rut activity. They're going to all the scrapes, walking around with their tails straight out, and then you see a buck running behind them, maybe, 10, 15 minutes later. It's really cool to just watch the behavior change, and I know we're going to have our work cut out for us, because by the time we get back in the stand on Monday, I think the rut's going to be in full swing, so they're going to be off in the woods somewhere, and then maybe we'll get a glimpse of a few bucks.
Well, yes, Cindy.
Your baby girl Finley is walking, and Mommy said she needs a shout out because she's so excited to see Dad.
Okay.
Hi, Finley.
Hi, Finley. How you doing, honey? Hi, Finn. So Finley, Dakota.
That's my youngest daughter.
Yeah.
Yep, she's 2 years old. I have two daughters, Charlie and Finley. One is 3.5 and one is 2, and they love to watch us cook.
Yep. So this is exciting. I love this. This is the best part of sharing this with you. Come have a look at this.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Now this is perfect texture. And if you can, Bay, I'm going to turn it off.
And you can do this by hand. It just you can imagine how long this mixer's been going for.
Are you kidding me? Look at that texture. Cindy, you can just shout out from over there. This is good. We did a good job, didn't we, hon? Look at this. So this is what you're looking for. So you see that texture? Look at that. It's voluptuous. There's air in there. Isn't that gorgeous? So that is a perfect blanchir. So you wait. You notice the change in color as well. So that previous color, that was very orange. And if it was farm fresh eggs, which it will be here at the Collins Farm soon,
very soon,
it would be even more orange. But it's done by two things. First of all, by that texture.
Yep.
See the way it's ribboning. It's ribbons.
you can see those air bubbles in there too.
You can see the air, and it's changed completely in color to that beautiful blonde. I love it. Love, love, love food. So now let's check this. I'm going to check the temperature over here. And it's cool, eh? So, Code, here's a great thing. Can we see this steam here? Can we see that steam coming off there as I stir that? Can you see that? So that steam is a great indicator of temperature. This should be, if you poke your finger in it, should be something that is hot but not like scalding. We don't want to scald the milk. We don't want this to come to a boil at all. So what happens now? This is the exciting part about creme anglaise. You get to be a little bit of a mad scientist. So bring it over here. And this is a cool little procedure here. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a whisk and you literally temper. So we're tempering those eggs. Yeah, we've used wood, okay, for this purpose. So we're going to temper the eggs. Now this is important. As you begin to whisk, you want to pour into the eggs. And what you want to avoid, you want to slow pour. Making a mess here. Slow pour. Let's set that aside. It's not too bad. Slow pour so that you don't scramble the eggs. Yeah, you can pour that in there for me.
Pour is you.
Yeah, pour a little faster. That lip is a little fussy. Go ahead. There you go. Oh, yeah.
You just needed a professional chef to do it.
There you go. Yeah, you're dumping it too, just so you know.
Am I?
Yeah. Pour the rest in. Dump it, dump it, dump it, dump it, dump it. Okay. So what happens is as you continue to stir, as you continue to move that around and slowly add that hot milk and cream mixture, what happens is the eggs, they temper. The beautiful thing, eggs are an incredible thing. They're one of the things that honestly, eggs literally make baking possible. So I'm going to put this back on the heat now. And this is going to go back in. I'm going to turn that on. Again, that low temperature. Pour that in. You see how it's kind of, look at that. Can we see that, Code? Just for texture, son. Look at that. It's frothy. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Kind of looks like eggnog.
So it does, and actually this is thank you, this is a base for eggnog. This is your eggnog. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So so all you need to do is just add some rum and then you have eggnog. So here's the key now, when you get to this step. You don't want to continue to whisk, okay? Yep. So whisking, by virtue of its design, adds air. That's what a whisk does. So I want to switch. And if you can, switch to something that's wood, okay? And then you want to...
Why wood?
Because when we'll do a pass like this, Dakota, let's have a quick look. We'll do a pass like this, and at one point, see the way that's still running a little bit? A little bit. You'll know that it's done by how it sticks to the wood. So we're going to do little figure eights here. You can do a figure eight.
I think I can
Okay.
manage.
Stir that. Most important thing when you're doing this creme anglaise is you really want to make sure not to leave it alone. So this is a base. You could add some cornstarch to this and make a beautiful pudding. At this point, you could add a variety of things. You could add, we've added crushed candy canes for Christmas time. We've added, you can add espresso. You can add chocolate. So whatever you love, this is the time when it's warm to infuse that. So this is the base. This is your creme anglaise base. And we use cream, milk, eggs, sugar, and vanilla. 5 ingredients, that's all it took to make
this. What I would do with this is put some coconut in there and some cornstarch, make like coconut pudding.
Okay, that sounds interesting, Bailey. That's all I have to say about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working, as you're doing that, I'm going to work over here on our base. Code, if you want to stay on that for just a minute, I'm going to start working on the base, which is the bread pudding.
I had no idea that this was the base for eggnog.
Base for eggnog, base for ice cream. Think about how many different possibilities you can kind of enjoy. To make it eggnog, you can spice it, add some flavor to it. What I'm doing right now is I'm just slicing up this beautiful bread we did this morning. Now, what you'll find is it's really important to let that cool. So let's have a look here. You can see the texture of that bread. So nice thing about doing a banana or doing a bread pudding out of quick breads like this is you'll see how much more dense that bread is than, say, for example, like I'll grab a loaf of fresh baked bread over here. This fresh baked bread is, it's lighter in texture. It has lots of air pockets. So what you'll notice is that when you're making this, so a regular bread is very soft, or very, where this has a lot of firmness. The difference is that this is going to stand up really, really nicely as we begin to put it into the bread pudding. So I've got nice big chunks here. I love this, the way that it looks kind of chunky. It's something I do about 1 inch by 1 inch. I don't know if you can see that, Dakota. I'll make sure you can. Notice I'm using a serrated knife. So that serrated knife is really important when you're cutting bread. It just helps you pass through a little easier. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do when you do this is any little bits that come off, you're going to want to make sure to put those in. So don't think that you don't want to waste a single crumb. And then what I like to do is just begin to arrange this bread. Are you seeing how this is coming together? I mean, seriously, this is incredible. If you want to make a delicious recipe for this Thanksgiving, I think this is it. Now, for those of you in the United States, here in Canada, we've already had our Thanksgiving. So we are doing this little bit of a celebration in honor of all of our... That's good. How's it coming?
Mom looked at me and said, take it off, so I'm taking it off.
Okay, good. So you can just... You can just... Here, I'll get you a charger and you can set it on it. So at this point, with that creme anglaise finished, go ahead and set it down. Bae, I want you to grab a spoon and just try it. Code, I think you should come over and try this too. I think you gotta try it. Make sure that, when you're cooking, always be trying. Always be trying. Because it makes a difference whenever you know what's going into it.
Oh, man.
Right? Is it like delicious or what?
You just grab me a cup, some rum, and I'm just pour that in on the couch.
Right? So listen, when you're live with the outdoor chef, want to thank Bowtech in a huge way because they host us, carry this program, and made this incredible platform. Looking into what you want to do, you want to be able to watch what you want to watch, when you want to watch it.
However long you want to
and for however long you want to watch it. Yeah. And what we love about this is that we don't have to rush. We don't need to rush through any of this. Are you guys seeing how this
is? One of my favorite things, and that we always say to each other afterwards, is the thing that we love is how it's interactive.
Yes.
We love talking to people that otherwise we'd have to maybe wait till we were at ATA or something to talk to you, right? But right now we can talk amongst ourselves right here, right now, and it's interactive. We can answer your questions and help you along and just enjoy talking with each other.
Yep. So are you seeing...
Mo said there's nothing better than a man that can cook.
Oh, yes, thank you. What's your name? Mo. Mo, thank you, dear. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Look at this. Honestly, I think, can you honestly believe how beautiful... So, first...
A mountain of goodness.
Right? This is, delicious. It looks like it's something out of, a Dr. Seuss. Mountain of Goodness. Hey, Sen, there's another good T-shirt. Mountain of Goodness. Here we go. So again, I'm not wasting a single little bit of that. And I think we're going to need a close-up base. So if you want to grab that camera, I want everybody at home to get this as close to...
No, it's a mountain.
Hey, pastry chef, stay out of it. Okay, so... hey, that's right. This is a Rocky Mountain version. I love it.
It's a Rocky Mountain bread pudding.
Rocky Mountain bread pudding. Okay, so let's look at, what's that? They won't overflow. Okay, so, man, she's right all the time.
Famous last
She's right all the time, though, isn't she? You ready? Yeah, get a close-up on this. So we got this. Oh, man, that's just gorgeous. So you can see, one of the things you always want to look for is just to make sure it doesn't go to basically like a scrambled eggs. I'm going to pour this over top. Now, the nice thing about this cream is this cream will firm up. So as we rebake this now, this will literally turn into a beautiful pudding in the bottom. So it smells good. So I'm not going to rush this point right here. We're just going to literally, you know what I want to do with this? If you have one at home, this is a fine strainer. You can get really inexpensive fine strainers. But this is a fine sieve or a fine chinois. And this was the one element that I forgot to teach you that I don't want to miss. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pass this through the chinois. We'll just literally pour it in. Set that aside. And then what we'll do here is, you notice that beautiful thing pouring out? Just tap it a little bit. And this will, what happens is anything that you don't want going in, you'll notice there's a little bit of film, let's just say, and you can see it in the bottom of that. That is removed. And what that is that's a texture thing. Yeah. So we're always thinking about texture really because as much as flavor is really important, texture is equal to flavor, because you can have something that tastes great, but with bad texture, it just becomes totally unpleasant.
And that goes back to the levels, guys.
Yep.
Levels of little increments of things that you do to make a dish better.
Yep. So we're just going to finish. I'm just ladling this on. Any of our Rocky Mountain bread pudding here that's on top, imagine it's going to be like, I would say, crusty bits on top with a beautiful pudding underneath.
Those are my favorite ones.
This is like watching the Fireplace Channel.
Honestly, it's that good. That's good. You hang on there. So now this is going to go into the oven. How's that look, son? Is that good? A bit more? I think so. No more. Easy, Anna.
She wants it though.
I know she does. Cindy needs to be right. She's going to be wrong this time. So what you see is I've got about maybe a half an inch, a quarter inch from the edge. Now, some of the bread is going to soak that up, but what happens when you bake it is it kind of expands a little bit. Yep. So keep that in mind so it doesn't spill over. Little tip, put this on a baking sheet before you go in. So baking sheet with sides, no, it's okay, we don't have one, it's buried over here. So we just moved the farm, we're getting organized. But put it on a baking sheet so that if it does spill over, it's not going to make a disaster of your oven. Now keep in mind, this can go out to our Coyote barbecue. If you can, for Thanksgiving, do a couple things maybe out on the barbecue. It's a huge help. But I think that this is absolutely stunning. I want to have a quick peek in here.
You said Rocky Mountain bread pudding and it started snowing.
Did it really?
Yep,
it's snowing. Nice. So I'm going to take this one out too. We got lots of photos of this one. So I'm just going to take a slice of this bad boy. That's so nice. And I want to show you one more finish just before we close. I just have to grab
You want a
cast iron black plate would be perfect. So Dakota's just running out to our new shop. We got a brand new shop. If you're just joining us, or if you've been watching us for the past 6 months during our lives, we've got a brand new farm. We're so excited about it. This is a place where we are going to be able to do target archery at 100, 120 yards. Yep. We're going to be, we can hunt this property. We can fish on this property. Most importantly, we are going to have the biggest, and I think when I say the biggest, we are going to have the biggest garden you have ever seen, possibly. Thanks, buddy. Sure. So what I'm going to do here is this is another way that this can be enjoyed. I'm just going to take and slice off. So if you want something, this is great just as a simple bread to maybe enjoy with a coffee or a tea. But you can also take a simple slice like this and just on the plate it goes. I just love this because it's so, I hate to use the word pure, but it's pure. It's pure because it's so simple. Yep. Just want to clean this up. The last step of plating, sometimes the food is so good it doesn't really make it there, and I understand that because you got kids or adults, anybody around, and they want in on it, right? They want it. But for me, and this is just a little spoonful, just a little spoonful of this makes for a great finish. So that's something that can go out. How are we doing there, Code? How does that look good? It's just, we'll give a little bit over the edge there. There we go. Oh, I love that. Okay. So that is, for me, a couple brilliant ways to be able to enjoy this recipe. So this recipe, we will go and we will quickly write it. Now that we've got it proven, right here, on the Outdoor Chef. Saturday mornings for Surefire Saturdays.
Yep.
Professional chefs testing new recipes using, classic techniques. But, we're pretty pumped about next Saturday.
Oh, we are. Yeah, next Saturday we're doing a Thanksgiving special. If you're just joining us, we're doing a Thanksgiving special, 2 to 3 hours long. We're going to teach you from soup to nuts. We want to teach you everything you need to know.
Oh, we should do a soup.
Yep.
And we should do spice nuts.
Spice nuts.
Okay, that's perfect. So we're 2 recipes we're definitely going to do.
Soup and nuts.
Soup and nuts. I love it.
But we're going to try and give you all the tools you need to create the Thanksgiving that all of your family are going to be talking about until next year when you host it again, because you're going to have no choice.
No more dry turkey.
Yep.
You won't run out of stuffing, believe me. We're doing stuffing and dressing.
Yep.
You're going to get them both. We'll do a soup.
Yeah, we'll do a soup.
We'll do spice nuts. Perfect for
Yep.
serving before a meal. Get the palate going. We're going to caramelize them. We're going to salt them. It's going to be beautiful.
We're going to do some dressing, right? We'll do some
Dressing, our port cranberry sauce.
Oh, the pork cranberry sauce.
You're going to love it.
With whole spices in it.
We mull it. It's so beautiful. Tell you what do you want to see?
Yeah, what do you want?
What do you want to see?
Yeah.
Vegetables, I'm thinking about teaching green beans, blanching,
Yams.
chilling, yams. Could be yams.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. Comment in the link below or in the space below in this broadcast.
Yep.
Let us know what you want to see. If there's anything, you know what my grandma used to make?
What's that? What?
That thing with the grapes and the marshmallows.
Oh, yeah.
Ambrosia.
Ambrosia.
We won't be teaching ambrosia, but my God, was it ever good? I used to love that. That was crazy. And maybe we can get Cindy to make her bourbon pecan pie.
Oh, bourbon pecan pie. Yep. Say it again.
Say it slow.
Pecan
bourbon.
pie.
If our friend from Kentucky is still watching, we love bourbon.
Oh,
so bourbon pecan pie. It is the perfect combination of corn syrup caramelized with bourbon, toasted pecans, and the best short crust. And I mean the best. The best, I'm saying it slower, right? Slowing it down. The best short crust recipe that you'll ever have. We use butter and shortening, both. So it's both flaky with tons of flavor.
And until next week, guys, be sure to check out our live hunts. We know we're back in the stand Monday morning, and we're going to try
with the realm. We've got the realm, and with the realm, this new smart bow from Bowtech.
It's just incredible.
It's setting new standards again. The Rain last year, #1 bow. Realm, I'm calling it right now.
It's gonna be
number one bow. Number one bow because of precision, because of the technology.
When you have someone like myself, I'm all about really taking and really.
So Dakota's nickname is the mechanic, okay? And it's both a blessing and a curse, because every single thing, like, he has to understand the finite details of it. So,
and I'm not okay with just, and it's not that something's wrong with it, but I like, if you have a pie plate, right? If you hit a pie plate, you can hunt a deer. But I like to be able, it bugs me in a weird way if I can't hit the center of the pie plate with 3 or 4 arrows all at once.
And a grouping.
And let me tell you, this new bow from Bowtech, the Realm, it gets it done every time.
When you're flinging arrows, you're flinging them with confidence.
That's the biggest thing, eh?
Oh, well, it's if anybody's ever played any sports, and it's not just relegated to sports, it's whatever you do, your thing. You know that any one of those things. I remember the first time I started playing hockey. I started playing hockey late. I would skate and I'd stop by hitting the boards. But after I scored on my own team many times in tournaments, I got a little bit better, and then a little bit better, and then she's still laughing. And then I would step on the ice and I would gain confidence. My point is this, that if you've ever, any activity you've done, when you gain confidence, you can approach it in a different way. And that's one of the things, as a professional chef, you'll notice we use, like the best cutting boards, the best knives, the best equipment.
And it's because they produce the best results.
Results. It's results driven. So just like a professional chef with a professional chef knife, a hunter with the new realm in your hands, it's going to be, it's going to feel like an extension of you. So check out the new realm. We'll be checking it out live. We're wishing our good buddy Tim and Nate all the best there.
They're out there in South Dakota. On
yes, Cindy? What's that? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And just a reminder to reach out to current or former service members of any nation's military.
Thank them for their service.
Thank them for their service. We wouldn't enjoy the freedoms that we do enjoy. Wouldn't enjoy this lifestyle. Wouldn't enjoy this beautiful bread pudding. These are the things in life that are preserved, and they're preserved by
the reason this day exists is because we can't forget.
Thank you, Stephen.
Right,
Collins.
we can't forget. That's why this day exists, because we cannot forget about it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to sign off now. Thank you for joining us for Surefire Saturdays. Thank you for helping us take Saturdays back. And if you don't mind, if you really enjoyed this broadcast, go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, let us know what you think. Do us a favor, tag a friend, share the broadcast, and let more people know about Surefire Saturdays and the Outdoor Chef.
And all these great recipes.
And all these great recipes. Remember, we've got now several dozen. I think we've got about 36 or 37 recipes. So you can go back, watch the archive, check out the previous ones. We've got wild to table recipes for turkey, for whitetail, for elk, for black bear, for rock dove, for so many different things.
Head over to the YouTube channel, guys, and just literally get a pad of paper and write down all the tips and all the notes, and I promise you at the end of, like you said, 30 or 37 videos, you'll have a skill set that you didn't have before, and it's awesome.
And a shout out to all of our partners like Bowtech and Diamond and Vortex and Honda, Excalibur, Sitka, and help me out here, Groman Knives, Esquiff Canoes. There's so many people. Coyote Outdoor Living, check them out. Fulgor Milano. Staub and Zwilling, Lodge as well, and Cuisinart. Check out all of these partners. They're what makes this broadcast possible. So until next Saturday, Surefire Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great week and keep on cooking.
I'll keep on eating.
And don't touch this.